Hey everybody, Scoutcraft here again. It's Wednesday, which is Christmas Eve. And today we're going to do a quick one because this is just in response to a challenge put out by Hand Tool Restoration, Jim over in the UK, and also our good friend Ben, the Tool Addict, also in the UK. And the restoration, or the challenge today, was to put out either a clamp or a vise that has Christmas colors or a Christmas theme. And you know, come on, we can never pass by an opportunity to do a clamp, right? So I had something in mind, and let's go check out what kind of clamp we're going to use.
You know, the funny thing is I have clamps all over the shop here, hanging up, and these are, now see these clamps here, these are all, I take these clamps when they're all rusty, I wire brush them, and then I shellac them for future projects. So those clamps are done. Those over there hanging up there, they're finished already. So here's the clamp I decided on today. This is a nice Sargent 4-inch. 4-inch refers to the opening, the usable space when the screw is all the way back, the opening. So a 4-inch clamp is actually quite a bit bigger. You can see how a 4-inch clamp measures 7 inches just in the body. So that's always something to consider. But what I wanted to do here, this one was a rusty clamp, very rusty. And what I did was I took this clamp, soaked it in vinegar, and then wire brushed it, and then shellacked it, and then I put it on the side waiting for something to do. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to, look at this. These are the casting marks, you know, with the spews, they call it. We're going to fix this up. I'm going to do a little painting on it and then get it ready for the challenge. I think this will be a nice one because we got a few things that I want to do on it. And I didn't want to start from a bent up rusty clamp, but this will give us a little bit of a head start. Well, I finally did it. Can you see the smoke coming out of there? Can you see it? I finally burnt out my grinder. Can you imagine? I don't know how many hours I have on this thing, but it finally went the way of, let's see what we can do with this. Okay, so let's see what it was that actually gave way here. Now, it is the bearing. You see the bearing here? Now, let me show you the interesting thing about this. This is the head of the angle grinder here, you see? And what happened, and look at this. Look how easily this spins. What a beautiful bearing situation they have here. And it everything is fine here. And you see the gears in there look very good, you know, considering the wear and tear I put on this. Hours and hours. I've had it for a couple of years. And this helical gear up front looks great. But this is the bearing that went. And actually what I think went was the cage. There's a little cage that holds the ball bearings in place. And I think that broke. It got caught up in there. So this bearing needs replacement. Now, I took this nut off here and the gear. And I would need a small bearing puller, but to have the right bearing. This is probably a metric bearing. I don't have it. And, you know, but, you know, this was a $22 grinder or something for 2 years. You know, it's kind of almost like it, but it really, I'm surprised. Everything's going to work good if I could get this bearing. But until then, I'll just put it back together. Like I said, this goes on here. The 4 screws hold that head on. And so that was the weak point, that bearing went. Now, here's what's interesting. Even after all that, what it went through, I removed the cage, but watch this. It still works, but, you know, obviously it's going to be a problem, so I put it away. This is a good tool. You take it like this, and this is when your neighbor needs to borrow one of these. You lend this to them. It lasts about 5-10 minutes, burns out, and then you get a new one. You rely on a certain tool, and you're going to use a cheap one like that one. You always have to have a backup, at least one backup. And we have this one here, this barrel we bought. So we're going to put this together. And we'll be back in service. This one's a rat tail design, so I think this will be a little bit easier on my hands. So we'll see. We'll see how we like this. Now, it's tough when you have a couple hundred hours on a certain type of grind. You go to a new one. Again, this handle is a little different. It's smaller, but it's back further. So, you know, it's going to take a while to get used to, but it's a lighter unit. And so, you know, we'll see how we like that. One thing nice about this, it's got the adjustable guard like this that you don't need a tool. You just clamp it down like this when you get it into the position you want, you know, because sometimes you change that to arrest the sparks or whatever, and you can change it. But we'll see how we like it. Okay, got a lot of hours into this thing so far, but look at that, huh? Nice. Now we just gotta wash it up with Comet, do some painting, and
okay, well, I had a little bit of a disaster going on, so let me tell you what happened. Everything was going good with the clamp, as you saw, and I spent a lot of time on that thing because, you know, for Jim and Ben, I wanted to do a decent job. And so I paint the clamp. I used the candy paint, which is a two-stage paint. Remember, we already had shellac on there. That's stage one. I had to put a base coat, then a clear coat, you know, with the color, and everything's going good. I even send a picture to my girlfriend, what we call a sneak peek, as if she should care. She really don't, but she pretends she does. I send a sneak peek. Everything's going good with the colors. Everything's good. I come down here yesterday. I said, I'm just going to give it a quick buffing on the chrome part, you know, the shiny, but I just wanted to give that one more quick buff, and all of a sudden, I slip off the wheel. I have footage. Check this out.
You know, sometimes you do a restoration, nothing is going your way. I had finished this clamp. It was coming out beautiful. It came out, the paint came out nice, right? Everything was beautiful. This green looks much darker in person. These lights don't show how this green is. Everything was coming good, right? I said, I'm going to give it one last buffing over here. The wheel slipped off the top because it's convex, hit the side, went through the paint. You can't touch up this candy paint. You got to strip the whole thing. You know something, I'm telling you, this is one of them things you want to toss over. So now I said, you know what? I am so bent right now. I'm gonna mangle this clamp like you wouldn't believe.
So now, as you can see, I was fuming. That was the first time I have gotten that angry at a tool for so long. I was just, so that's why I went over here and I said, I'm going to do damage to this tool. And anyway, worked out, and I'm actually pretty happy with it now, even though there's still some things that I would change. Let's check it out. Now, honestly, this would have been a good time to just, you know, put the clamp away, go upstairs, relax, you know, don't think about it. But I couldn't. I had to do something, and I did all this by eye, all the drilling and everything. And you know my favorite part. Remember what the clamp looked like before we started.
And we're calling this project done. I think I saved it. Let me tell you a couple things about this. First of all, okay, we did it in the candy. Now, there was a little bit around the edges here from the chips when they get hot, but overall, the candy paint came out really nice. I touched it up a little bit with what I could, and again, I do like the holes in the clamp, so that turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Now, let me show you the back here. Now, you see this green, and again, this is the Christmas colors. When we think of Christmas, we think of red and green. This green here is so much darker than what you see on film. Like if I stand back and I look at the camera and I look at here, this green is a beautiful like emerald dark green, and here it looks like a mint green. I'm going to show you, I'm going to put a picture in of what it really looks like here. This is what you see, and this is what it actually looks like in person. See the difference, how dark it is? Well, anyway, polished out the whole top over here. Over here, these things, you know, this casting on this clamp was horrible as far as the forge marks and but all of it's done now. It's nice and buttery smooth in the hand. I always like the holes in the clamp. You know, they use them for body clamps. Yeah, so this is my Christmas rendition but I have to tell you, I went through hell with this, including burning out my grinder. So this one's in the can, and I'm glad, because I wouldn't want to do this one again.
Light bulbs have what's known as a CRI, Color Rendering Index. And what that means is when you look at a color of something under certain light bulbs, the actual light will change or alter the appearance of that color. And that's why a lot of LEDs and a lot of compact fluorescents, things like that, they don't have an accurate CRI. So you could put a light up into your room or your living room and things look a little bit dull, or they might not just jump out at you like they should. And you know what's very good for CRI a lot of times is a halogen light, because that very much makes it duplicates sunlight, and that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to duplicate the sunlight that gives you the colors like you should see them. So that's why the you know, the candy colors always come out different on video as they do in real life. They're much better in real life. So anyway, thanks so much. It was a rough project. Thanks to Ben and Jim for the challenge. Hope you have a great day. Take care now. Bye-bye.